Oh yeah, it says that scientists that come out and say that GMOs are bad are criticized because that's the worst thing that can ever happen to you as a scientist. You're criticized. Because that doesn't happen during every peer review application. Peer review
Peer reviewed.
submission. Yeah,
You'll get
peer
there.
review submission.
Welcome to Trolling Logic for the 31st of January 2016. Big apologies first, as you probably did see, we were scheduled to have the authors of the book The Climate Gamble on to have a discussion about nuclear power. Unfortunately, they can't make it, but I have heard from them and they will be back on at a future date. So you're going to have to make do with us as your special guests for tonight. So I'll quickly introduce the panel. Kitch, what's happening?
Not too grand, not too bad. It's, doing good.
Yeah, you look hungover as hell right now, it has to be said.
It's a good Saturday. This is why we do shows on Saturday.
So he looks Irish.
Yes,
basically.
He does.
I'm more Irish.
Yes, you look more Irish than usual. Right, Marty, what's happening with you?
Not much.
And welcoming to the show for the first time ever, Nathan, what's happening?
Not much. Good to be here. Been a long time listener to the show. Never thought I'd actually be on it, so good to be here.
Yeah, everyone says that. They listen to the show, and then I suddenly say, come on the show and help us out sometime. And they're all, what? So that's basically how it went with Sheila. So you'll get used to it eventually. And I'm not too sure. How do you want to be addressed, Mystery Man? Yeah, we've got a demented cow with us tonight to make up the last guest.
Something that came up since our last show was, of course, the supposed discovery of a new planet.
Oh, yeah.
And holy shit, popular media needs to, stop being like popular media, basically.
Yeah. Because as the Nibiru stuff started straight away with us, didn't it?
Yeah, right away. Apparently, not only has the planet been found, which absolutely no one has said, it's also going to collide with the Earth within a year, despite the fact that it never comes closer to the sun than, I think it was like 150 AUs or something. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's farther out than Pluto, isn't it?
Nibiru is 4 years ago.
Yeah. This thing is like it puts everything on our understanding of the scale of the solar system has to change, basically.
Yeah,
it's just way out there.
And also our understanding of just Newtonian mechanics. Hello, Zilla, will have to change as well. Because not only that, Nibiru actually came here in 2012, missed, and it's gone back out there and it's coming back again.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, if someone out there can do the calculations of acceleration needed for this acceleration, deceleration, changes of direction, this is phenomenal.
Not off the top of my head, but I can do it.
It's kind of Ziller-style mechanics, that, I think, isn't it? I think we'll keep insulting him because he's not here.
It would probably look almost as wacky as Cool Hard Logic's illustration or animation of the wacky geocentric model.
Oh yeah. But anyway, like I say, folks, just send us a PM if you do want to call in. I'll keep shouting that out. We don't have anyone.
Some people are asking questions like it's further out than Pluto. I want to see just how much further out it is. It's definitely way further out than Pluto, like 10 times or something.
Yeah. But well, I do have something here. And I know the reaction this is going to get when I say the first few words of what this story relates to. Deepak Chopra.
Oh God, Ziller says Facebook, didn't he?
Word salad.
Yes.
I'm hungry.
So Deepak Chopra has now got himself in on weight loss. He's now a dietitian as well. And he's gotten involved in something close to your heart, bacteria, Kitch.
The microbiome, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, here's a few quotes from him. "We are a few human cells hanging onto a bacterial colony. We are the awakening of bacterial consciousness." Yeah, that's got a reaction.
So so he can communicate with his
Hold on,
bacteria.
hold on, hold on. If we're going to do this anymore,
Yep.
Is he saying bacteria can listen to our thoughts
Oh,
and respond?
Yep.
I'm getting to that soon. I'm just going through some of the key quotes here. This is
but just to go on that, actually, he said, from what I got there, bacterial cells surround a human cell in the gut. Is that the gist of what I got there?
yes, it is.
Yep.
A few human cells hanging onto a bacterial colony.
From what I understand of the microbiome, because I had an interview with something similar a while back on microbiome research, so I'm kind of going based off of a few months ago. But yeah, bacterial cells will degrade shed cells from the intestine. That's normal.
Yep. So the next thing says, it doesn't like anything that's refined, manufactured, processed, or GMO'd because GMO interferes with its ecology. It is the life of the earth. When it gets inflamed, it sends out metabolites that cause the disruption of the activity, both the epigenome and of the gene directly.
How? Does it do it through the force?
I understood that was stupid.
Yeah, and also
how can they tell
And you don't even do squishy things.
Right.
how can you tell the difference between something that's been introduced using genetic modification and something that's probably been bred in?
yeah.
And what was the other processed?
What is it? It doesn't like anything that's refined, manufactured, processed, or GMO'd.
So anything that maybe has citric acid in it, which is, the orange juice, that citric acid is in orange juice. And that's also used in God, no, God. It's also it's a food additive.
Look, Kitch, seriously. Of course, you can't put acid in people. I mean, that's just chemicals that are added by big chemical.
Completely. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's not like you have an organ that's just completely filled with acid.
Yeah, and then he carries on to say, I love yoga and I do it, and I always feel transformed. And it's amazing that not only your genes are listening to your thoughts, but your microbiome and the bacteria are listening to your thoughts.
So, well, maybe, most people.
Can't he just call them midichlorians?
Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
That's what he means.
I don't know how he operates, but generally my mind does not actually, is in association with my ass. But maybe it explains so much now.
Yep.
He's literally thinking and talking out of his ass.
Yeah.
And he's doing a classic thing that all pseudoscientists do. He's using very scientific sounding language to wow his audience.
Yeah.
And it sounds like his audience is thinking, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about because those words have a lot of syllables in them.
Yeah.
And yes, the guy in the chat, I think Kitch is pretty much qualified to have opinions about this shit, at least according to his PhD and all that shit.
It begins.
Yeah.
I don't know any other follow-ups to that apart from that was really dumb.
Yep, no, that was really dumb.
Yeah.
It gives absolutely no mechanism for how even that will remotely work. And how can genes listen to thoughts? That's like saying water can listen to my emotions.
Yeah.
Isn't that what the Japanese guy on What the Bleep said?
Yeah. Then I don't think you need a PhD to know that's stupid. Yeah.
But yeah, here's another news story that's on my desk. There's actually been a Kickstarter started for Shield headwear. Now, this headwear is designed to protect you from the harmful effects of cell phones, Wi-Fi signals, and other electronic devices. What was that?
Oh.
So basically, someone managed to get a Kickstarter going for tinfoil hats. And how much do you reckon they've raised so far?
How much have they donated themselves?
I don't know, but they've actually raised 313 backers have raised $20,000 for this project.
Wow.
Well, in related news, there's a GoFundMe for a flat Earth convention.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's been going for weeks now, and they've raised a grand total of jackpoint shit.
And also, speaking on the flat earthers, who's been watching the rap battle with Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah, I loved it.
That is fantastic.
It's the greatest compliment when a flat earther performs a diss track on you for being a spheroid person, a non-flat earther.
Yeah, because that's
Smart person.
basically
Smart
Yeah.
person.
after the Cool Hard Logic show, we did get some.
Well, okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We can't say smart person as opposed to flat earther, because then we just have to realize that we just called Kent Hovind smart.
Okay, sorry.
Oh no.
Somewhat functioning person.
Again, you just called Kent Hovind a functioning person.
Well,
We,
he's
we need
damaged
we
another.
need a new word here.
I think flat earther is pretty good insult.
Yeah.
It's so cognitively discomforting to watch Kent Hovind disagree with flat earthers. And
You have to. Flat earthers have made us agree somewhat with Kent Hovind.
Yes, that's you're right.
Soulfire. No, Jordan is not a flat earther.
We said a lot of things, but
I mean, I don't think it'd be a massive shock if he did become a flat earther.
No, but he isn't one at this point anyway.
wasn't one of his latest videos him talking about the Earth, and the Earth is I'm sorry, not the Earth, sorry, the Moon. Completely different thing altogether. The Moon is a hologram or
No, it's hollow.
hollow, and yet vibrations are strengthened and lengthened by dampening.
Yes.
so the dampeners in his scenario do the opposite of what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, like I said, it's very, I don't know what word you will use to describe it, but when that video came out, as Martin knew, I was working on some coursework for college, which was doing simulations on my computer of dampening systems. And it was just bizarre to, like, while I was trying to showing the effects of what dampening actually does, Jordan goes out public and says it does the exact opposit of what I'm showing here. It does do. It's just,
And you must have failed your exam then.
Failed the Jordan exam.
Jordan says it.
Big red kind of cross through the whole paper with Space Jews written at the end of it.
Yeah.
On a
Yeah,
piano.
make it through one semester at the School of Jordan.
Ah, yeah, Soulfire, you're asking about the damper thing. Well, that's on a piano. Yeah, you've got that right. But Jordan specifically said hydraulic dampening. And hydraulic dampening is what you've got. We all, like if you're driving a car or anything, it is designed to reduce vibration.
Yeah.
If it's increasing the vibration, then it's underdamped and it's not doing its job properly. So I hope Soulfire that kind of clears that up.
Yeah, there's in many cases in music they have special meanings for words that have other meanings in physics. I'm not sure about exactly what those pedals do.
Yes, Soulfire. I am indeed Scottish, and just to clear, if you're going to ask what I'm doing a degree in mechanical engineering right now, so that's how I know that. Because I know everyone is always asking like what our backgrounds are and how we're qualified to speak on any of this stuff. So, I do try and stick to my own field as much as possible, and if not, I pass it on to someone else. No, micro underdamped. It's a perfectly decent term. Like I said, we use it in engineering all the time. It's just saying you're not damped it enough. That basically your system, it's taking too long. It's like best thing to think of is like you've got your oven at home. You switch it on, and it takes a while to settle down. It'll click on and off the thermostat. That's basically dampening it because the temperature just shoots up, and then it'll kind of, you've gone too high, reduces, and then it brings it down like that. That's essentially what dampening is. And basically something that's underdamped is something that just keeps on oscillating forever, but if it's properly damped, it'll just settle down within a decent amount of time.
Okay, so qualifications here.
Yeah.
My qualifications are being asked for. I have a master's in science education.
Yep.
So I'm a teacher. And in Sweden, that actually means something, because you can't just become a teacher by taking some courses in pedagogy and then they expect you to be able to teach. You actually have to study the subjects you're teaching as well at the university level.
Yeah, and Nathan, well, seeing as we're going into backgrounds, Nathan, what's yours?
I have probably the most unimpressive qualifications of anyone here. I'm trained in journalism, which I studied here in Oregon, USA. And I also did a minor in philosophy, specifically emphasizing in philosophy of science. So
nice.
I was interested in going into science journalism, but I still haven't found a job in that field. I actually don't have a writing job yet.
All right.
So.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's always useful to have a philosopher someone who's got some kind of philosophical knowledge. I mean, it's a shame Lundy's not here so often. He was probably our go-to for philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, Nathan, you're probably very keen to speak to John Sweeney once I finalise the date. That is happening, people.
Oh yeah, that'll be fascinating.
Yeah. What else is it? Well, so far from the way I understand philosophy, it's not so much as you're learning, it's just learning how to apply.
It's not a system of knowledge; it's a method of. It's a method, not a subject.
Yeah, I think Lundy said it's not filling up your bookshelf; it's organising your bookshelf. That's what philosophy is. That's the best way to think of it.
And I find it extremely useful in pretty much everything I do, actually. I don't understand how I got along without knowing as much about philosophy as I actually do. I mean, I still know very little. I'm an armchair philosopher, but it's just so useful.
Mm-hmm, I agree. A lot of people expressed puzzlement, or they thought it was weird that I would combine journalism with philosophy in my college courses, and I told them that philosophy is useful for anything you go into because it teaches critical thinking.
Exactly. And just how to draw conclusions, and is a conclusion justified, all that. And
journalism is in a very bad state here in America. Yeah. There's a lot of ridiculous nonsense in the journalism field these days.
And the rest of the world, too.
Because I was going to ask, about the state of journalism, because especially here in the UK, I don't know if you followed it, we had the whole phone hacking scandal and that. And journalism, it's kind of the fields, it's like the bankers, basically, they're in tatters now. I mean, so what kind of goes on in a journalism course? I'm quite interested to hear that.
Well, there's the lecture itself where we learn about the history of the media, techniques of journalism writing, and so on. And then there's what you would call the lab if it was a science course, which is we write for the student newspaper on campus and get credit for that. So actual experience going out and covering news that's happening on campus and in the community around the campus town.
And I know you touched on it there, but your general thoughts on the state of journalism right now. I mean, is it as bad as the coverage it's getting, really?
As bad as what?
Is it as bad as a lot of people are making out the state of journalism right now?
I'm pretty critical of it myself, so I would say that the worst things have been said about journalism, a lot of it is accurate, especially in science journalism. There's just a lot of leaping to juicy conclusions that haven't been reached by the actual scientists yet. And nobody, the general public readership, they don't want to hear that, oh, this is pending or we don't know yet. They want to know now all these amazing things that are going on. So the reporters just report things that the scientists haven't actually said, and they very selectively use quotes from scientists to make it sound like something extraordinary is going on when it really isn't.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry. Another problem is that reporters always have this sense of we have to report both sides of it.
Yeah.
oh yeah, the
So
false
you have
equivalence
to give
balance.
the pseudoscience equal time, basically, because otherwise you're being closed-minded.
It gives the public the impression that there's an actual controversy going
Yeah.
on when there really isn't. It's
Right.
the false balance thing.
Yeah, because it's quite interesting because you're on the other side of this, Kitch, where you're the. I mean, are you frustrated with journalism as well? Like when you see like how some papers are getting reported, because I know sometimes you just go and look at them and say that's nothing like what was said in the paper whatsoever.
Yeah, no, it's just people misreading the paper, just looking for they're looking for they're writing the story and taking bits from it for what they want to say, rather than what is actually going on. And oh, for God's sake! So can you guys hear that?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Grand, I got literally just got this today, and I have no idea how to get this to work, as in silent. There we go. Ah, that's brightness, sound. There we go. Grand. So, yeah, no, it's putting the story ahead of the facts.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what the best way to deal with this is. Maybe get your science information from quality sources like Scientific American would be one of the better ones. Nature News actually do great science art coverage.
Not to be confused with.
No, we do not mention that. We do not mention that name here.
Yeah.
Oh God, with the Nature News, and there's Scientific American, Nature News. There's another one that it's at the tip of my tongue. But there are decent science magazines out there. You just got to really focus on them and avoid pop pieces like the Daily Fail, and then obviously natural news is not a.
Yeah, it's not natural. It's not news. It doesn't even fill the two criteria for what it's called.
No.
I think we could do entire shows just on the crazy shit we find in natural news, and what surprises me is that we're still surprised at some of the shit that comes out on there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the one that really got was when they actually pulled an article. That's what.
The Ebola one.
Yeah, that was just absolutely insane. And that's it. Like I say, it's. We keep saying this is insane from natural news, and it can't get worse. Natural news, and it just keeps plumbing the depths.
I'm personally getting more and more jaded and less surprised myself.
Yeah.
When I saw this wasn't on natural news, but when I saw the Vice story about the witch who charges people to come and she exorcises viruses out of their computer, I didn't even blink. I was like,
where was that?
I don't know. I read the article last week and I can't remember what state it was in, but
I just saw it on Facebook. I don't remember what the source was.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, sometimes just there's like some amazing things with natural news, like you know how they list their stories historically. Then someone pointed this out one day that on a Monday they had ADHD doesn't exist, and then by Friday they were saying ADHD is caused by vaccines. You know, it's as long as they can somehow blame Big Pharma, even when it contradicts themselves, they'll just run with it.
Yeah, of course.
Because I think, like,
does anyone know whatever became of the FBI investigation on Mike Adams, or was there ever an investigation when he threatened all those scientists, or told his readership to kill scientists?
I can't remember what the exact outcome was.
I think basically they didn't have much of a case, but it wasn't like they were investigating him. It was more like telling him that, okay, we saw that, watch yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think he worded it in a way where, like,
it was kind of saying it, but at the same time, it could be argued, oh, he was, just being.
Yeah, I don't think it would hold up in court.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
Mm.
But he really needs to shut up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There was some questions put there in the chat room. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slendy, you can read them out because I want to hear your voice changer again.
3 questions for Mortimer. I love the WDPOASS and Woo of Woo series. But one, what brought you to Flat Earth? 2,
Okay, one at a time, please. It's a little faint. I'm not sure the audience could hear you, but what brought me to Flat Earth? It's I blame Ziller.
Everyone blames Zilla for something.
Yeah, he kind of exposed me to it, and because I had always thought that they were all pose.
So did I.
And now after the shit he showed me and the arguments he was having that I just followed, I realized that there are actually people who are that stupid, and the problem with it is that it's not really that they are flat earthers. That's the symptom. That's not the real problem. The problem is that they are just they're paranoid. They have these delusions of, the world is run by them, typically referred to as NASA.
Oh, yeah,
So are flat earthers? Is that would you then classify them as a subset of conspiracy theorists?
Yes.
yeah.
So they're not a subject unto themselves apart from conspiracy theories. Okay.
Yeah, it's just the most extreme conspiracy theory ever.
Is it just me, or
yeah.
it seems to me like this flat Earth thing suddenly became a trend in the last year or year and a half?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't there before.
Not it's growing. I'll just put it that way, because it's so ridiculous that it gets attention.
I think it's actually an offshoot of geocentrism, because that kind of grew in the last, just before that, I think geocentrism grew, and then the flat earthers just seem to have split off from some of the geocentrists.
So it's just getting dumber.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Because it was sounding like cool hard logic when, I was actually amazed to find out there were still geocentrists. It was through cool hard logic I found that out. Because I thought this is just cool hard logic, he must have found some fruit. But then you see there are actually, but people who've got a bit of money who can get that message out there. There are a few like Robert.
Yeah, I actually knew about Malcolm Bowden before I ever watched any of Cool Hard Logic's videos.
Yeah.
But he seemed to be all by himself out there.
Yeah.
I think he has a few other folk with him, Malcolm Bowden, does he? Because I remember Andromeda's Wake when he went after them, those 2 or 3 folk with Malcolm Bowden. But
yeah, but we are talking about 2 or 3. It's not like there's this community of them out there. And today, flat earthers, they really are a sort of online community of people who reinforce each other's beliefs.
Yeah.
There were some questions there. What's a POE? Poe's law says that it's impossible to distinguish between satire and stupidity.
Yeah.
And so a Poe is someone who is pretending to be an idiot in order to make fun of idiots or to troll people.
It's different. A troll goes out for a deliberate reaction. Sometimes Poes are doing it to parody it, to show, look how crazy it is. You can't tell my act from the genuine article. I think you can get a Poe with noble intentions, but trolling rarely.
But they do something to make sure that people realize that they're not serious.
Yeah, and it's kind of And some of them, the more ridiculous things they say, I have seen ones where people just, oh yeah, they still kept backing the guy up.
Yeah.
Some of them stretch them out to make their shtick go longer. And Poes actually have a pretty rich history going back to the 1960s. I read a book by Jesse Walker called The United States of Paranoia, where he examines the history of conspiracy theories in America specifically. And he talks about how in the 1960s and into the 1970s, there were all these magazines and periodicals coming out pretending to expose conspiracies, but they weren't serious. And the conspiracy community, which was burgeoning at that time, just took it all in.
Yeah.
And the results were pretty hilarious sometimes.
Yeah, isn't that sort of where the moon hoax came from originally?
Yeah, I think it might be. I wouldn't quote myself on that, though. I have to look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there's, I can't remember. I was reading books about how like some of the early Greek philosophers could be considered some of the first pose and trolls with some of the things they did. I can't remember who. It was someone on YouTube, and it was quite but I think they've deleted their channel since then. It was making some interesting points about it, because he was just saying like even out of trolling and pose, good things can come out of all of that. Oh, sorry, excuse me, I've got a cold right now.
Soulfire says, I wonder why flat earthers even exist. Even Aristotle knew that the earth was round. Well, yeah, that's kind of the point. These are people who have this completely different way to look at things. And basically the way they look at it is everything that is accepted by most people must be a lie.
Yeah. I mean, you just take any conspiracy theory and the fact that there's people believing. I mean, David Icke gets a lot of followers, and I see some pretty high up people in this country retweeting David Icke stories, and I'm always...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the appeal is simply, look, they are lying to you. Well, you get attention if you say that.
Because the thing I've noticed, David Icke does it in a quite smart way, really. I mean, the vast majority, the stuff he puts out to the public is all, oh, the government's so corrupt, you can't trust them, blah, blah, blah. And it is almost like kind of like they say with a cult, they always put out the front that, oh, we're just here to help. And then it's kind of the more and more you get into David Icke, then you get to, the reptilians and the royal family, all that kind of stuff. Because I say, I've seen some mainstream politicians in this country retweeting David Icke stuff and quoting David Icke. Yeah. And
wow.
While that worries me, I think they're just seeing the front that David Icke puts out, and they're not really, I mean, thankfully none of them are retweeting the reptilian stuff yet.
My first introduction to David Icke was years ago when a coworker gave me one of his books, very modestly titled The Biggest Secret. Yeah. And I was just astounded that people would publish what he was writing.
Yeah,
well, it was people are going to want to read it.
And like I say,
there's money in it.
And the other thing with David Icke is he's a really good public speaker. He's a very eloquent speaker when you hear him. And he does, like, on kind of just some politics stuff, he does argue very well. It's pure bullshit, but he's still a good arguer of his points. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was only like, he really only got out at his crazy here when he went on a chat show in the UK, and then he actually came out with the he was prodded enough, he came out with the reptilian stuff, and that's when he really got ridiculed here.
You got to do it slowly and gradually. You got to start with a bunch of plausible semi-facts, mix in just a little tiny bit of crazy, and then just slowly and gradually get to the crazy stuff, and people will be more ready to believe it that way, it seems.
Yeah. I mean,
by the way, I was just looking up some stuff because I have no real knowledge of David Icke, but I see here that he is on a tour in Australia and New Zealand this year.
He's got a lot of global appeal, David Icke.
Yeah, but how can he get so much money to travel to Australia and New Zealand and do this sort of things? Like, Oh, and the US as well, I see.
Yeah, and well, how does Mike Adams get money?
By scamming and stabbing babies.
Hello, Pumpkin. Oh, what an entrance.
Well, there are idiots reading his bullshit, and
Yeah.
there are companies willing to advertise on his website.
Never underestimate carefully worded bullshit, my friends.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, if you want to make money, it's gonna work.
So, Pumpkin, we'll ask your opinion on David Icke,
Who the fuck is David Icke?
the reptilian guy.
What, you mean the one that looks like a reptile's anus, or the one that thinks that everyone's a reptile?
The one that thinks everyone's a reptile.
Oh,
Oh yeah. In a word,
And he also believes the moon is a spaceship, and the reason he believes that is because, and I'm not kidding, he had a sudden feeling as he was sitting at his laptop typing.
I've had a sudden feeling to browse Pornhub before. Like, that doesn't mean that Pornhub is a spaceship. But yeah, in a word to describe him, cunt,
All right.
asshole, bell end, thunder cunt. I'll go with thunder cunt.
All right, there we go.
Works for me.
And who says we're not highbrow on this show?
are you sure that sudden feeling you had was on some form of seizure or a stroke?
So, Pumpkin, you can take over and bring up a topic now.
Oh yeah, just fucking straight in from work and motherfucker here, do shit.
Yeah, that's how it works, yeah.
Okay, let's see, topics. Dumb motherfuckers talking about GMOs. Had a fucker in work today. I work in retail, in a big shop. People buy food. Had a dumb cunt come up, buying a bag of carrots. Are these carrots organic? They come from the ground. But are they genetically modified? I don't know. I really don't care. But they can be really deadly. I mean, like, it gives you cancer. Oh, fuck off. It's easier to find out what's in GMO food than non-GMO food. You know why? Because they have to fucking control what goes in it.
Yes. And, oh yeah, Kitch, that's a thing I was wanting to bring you up. This thing about the bees dying off due to pesticides. Do you know what the story is behind that, or have you looked into it?
Actually, I haven't, but I actually am going to do something on that, a blog on that in the near future. I actually have a couple of on the list that I have to work through now that I'm free of my PhD write-up in Viva. So that is something I'm going to be interested in looking at. But the next one is going to be this 5 myths about GMOs. I think it's been making around the last few years, but it's just something. It's one of these online viral videos, but it's something I just want to address.
Yeah.
But it's a the same typical stuff. You know, it mentions the Cerlani study.
Oh, yeah.
That's particular study that's just retracted. It brings up the genetic roulette fallacy, which those of me who follow me on Facebook know I actually did a big rant about on Friday, I think.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, it says that scientists that come out and say that GMOs are bad are criticized because you know that's the worst thing that can ever happen to you as a scientist. You know, they're criticized. You know, because that doesn't happen during every peer review application. You know, peer reviewed. Submission. Yeah,
You'll get
peer
there.
review submission. And I can't remember the last one. Oh, it was something. It was bringing up glyphosate. You know, because that's a genetically modified, or that's that's not a genetically modified food. It's a herbicide, and that is also applied to non-GMO plants. So it's not a topic for GMOs as such, but more of a farm management discussion. But that's...
Oh yeah, shifting the blame onto the farmers. Typical scientist. Fucking shameful. Shill.
As I said before, I need to get paid to be a shill.
Yeah, when you get that money, I still have it written down here. Hold on, let me get it up.
Did you see that? I would say it was a comment I left on a GMO video against an anti-GMO, and this person looked into my most liked videos, saw there were Miles, and says, "You liked Miles Power's videos, therefore you must be a shill."
Miles doesn't pay good at all. We try to.
No, but it was gas because his next comment on that thread was Miles himself.
All right, cool.
I had to share it with Miles because like that was just hilarious. It's like, yes, I'm finally being, once you're being accused of being a shill, you're doing something right. Because they can't argue with facts or logic.
Yeah.
Kitch, I would like to direct your attention to the Skype chat, and you will see I still have it saved.
Oh yes, yeah. Well,
I have that. No. Let me explain. I have that saved to my desktop. It's not hidden in a folder. It's pride of place.
When did I say that again?
You were drunk at the time. We were definitely drunk.
Oh no,
that narrows it down so much.
Yeah, 2 Irish people that were drunk.
Scotsman, you were probably just out shagging sheep, you bastard.
Why not?
It's not the Welsh.
Have you seen Cal?
Mm-hmm.
He looks like the kind of guy that'd be going for a fluffy sex toy. I find it disgraceful. I mean, I'm asked my opinion on something and I don't pimp anything, and then when Kitch does, it's like, oh, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see.
It's all about subtlety or subtlety.
Subtlety.
It's all about
subtlety. I cannot.
All right,
I can't speak with the words.
Yeah, Marty, you can read that question, or was that from the chat room that came? Marty.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted.
All right.
Fucking Danish.
I'm wondering, for any of you who knows, why is it that the rate of cancer is higher in the West than someplace like rural Japan, where they eat mainly vegetarian and not any GMOs? Is it the stress of our lifestyle that causes it? Hell, though, my dad is one of the healthiest people I know, and he still got cancer.
I think a lot of that has to do with actually diagnosing it, because I know my own dad, when he had it in his stomach, and for ages it was being misdiagnosed as just a really bad stomach ulcer. It's not impossible for it to be mistaken for something else, and if there's not, like in places like rural Japan, there's probably not that many hospitals that are doing regular screenings for cancer.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, it's very difficult to say, because the other thing about Japan is that they're also quite heavy smokers. They smoke a hell of a lot more in Japan. So there's all these kind of outliers. I mean, I'm not, but their diet is vastly different to ours. I mean, they probably do eat GMOs, but they eat a lot of noodles and fish and all that.
Well, I think it's depending on the cancer rate, though, because cancer is not just one. It's dependent on the specific cancer, because cancer is not just one disease. It's it's so subset. But I kind of just went on to Google. I just wanted to see what was the cancer rate in Japan, because it's something I'm not too familiar with. But I see here, I come across a paper in Gut and the NCBI database, which I'm just going to share in the chat there on Vaughn, and it says that Japan has a higher rate of gastric cancer compared to the UK.
Yeah.
Now it's just I haven't gone into too much, but it's just something there that might be worth having a look at. I'm actually going to save that because I want to go into that into myself for a bit of extra reading.
Isn't it also the case that one of the main reasons why we get cancer so much in the West is that we live so long? I mean, in rural areas, people don't live as long, generally speaking. So
that's another thing, again, to bring
they don't have time to get cancer, basically.
As far as I recall, in Japan, they do have quite a long, because it's a very high standard of living in Japan.
Yeah, but in rural areas.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, if you live long enough, you will get cancer at some stage.
Yeah.
It would also depend on because, correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am, because as soon as I got in, I started drinking whiskey. It in Japan, it's not so much rural areas as a whole. There's sort of rural areas are also considering sort of essentially suburbs and small villages where it would be decent standards as well.
Yeah.
Because to them, it's either you're in a city or you're in the back crack of nowhere. There's an in between, they just don't really consider it being there.
And also, I'm just looking at the guy's quick because he's going on about the stress of lifestyle. The other one thing to consider there is from, again, this is my notice, this is just from a friend that lived in Japan for a year, is the Japanese, they don't have as much paid leave as we do in the West. I mean, they get
5 official days per year.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Thank you, Darth Vader.
Yes, they get 10. I think it's about 10, and it's correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's about 10 days paid leave, and that doesn't include your Christmas, New Year, or public. That's it for the year. So they have a lot less time, and they work a hell of a lot of overtime. So they do. I think they do have quite a high stress because I do know the suicide rate in Japan is just appalling.
Considering they have a place called what is it, the Forest of Ribbons, where people will go in, hang a ribbon on a tree, and kill themselves, and someone has to go in every morning and clear out the bodies, and it's never just one.
That's partly a myth as well. The forest in question, a lot of people get lost in and simply die as a result of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's your pumpkin up, that voice from nowhere.
No, I haven't a clue what was said, that's why. I couldn't make out a fucking word of what Darth Vader on crack was saying.
Darth Vader on crack, yeah. A Scottish Darth Vader on crack of that.
How you doing, boyo? Do you want some ease?
I am your da.
I fucked your ma. Go home, da, you're drunk.
But yeah, there's someone saying that you've got throat cancer, Slendy, based on that. Cancer, it's always such a nice humorous subject.
Yeah. Well, as I said, if you live long enough, you will get cancer of some form.
But I think it is also, on the whole, cancer is on the decline a lot, isn't it? Because the detection rates have gone up, and now we're actually getting better at treating it.
I think terminal cancer is decreasing. Actual people having cancer, it's increasing because better screening, better treatment. Some places, even if cancer's in remission, they will consider a patient to still have it until a certain period of time has passed.
There's also the fact that once you're cured of one, you can still get another one.
Yeah, that's why I said remission, not cured. Be quiet. Shush.
And we're also getting better treatments as well.
Yeah, and also just to say, there is no cure for cancer that cures every cancer, because I think all this... it's just as a side rant there, because I keep getting hit with this, that, there's this new cure for cancer, and it says, well, cancer varies so they're so wide and varied, aren't they, Kitch, the strains of cancer?
Realistically, every single case of cancer is unique because it'll be different mutations in different genes, but all you really need is just the cell to go and continue uncontrolled growth, as in just keep on dividing, and not having the ability to kill itself. So recognizing that it has a problem and then going, shit, I need to die because otherwise I'm going to bring down the whole entire host. So, but cancer cells, it doesn't have that response. So you really only need to knock out really those two. And I'm probably oversimplifying it there just a tad, but just for...
That's about the long and short of it. All cancer treatments, like chemotherapy, radiotherapy, they will kill every fucking cell in your body. It has to be targeted. Otherwise, it's not going to have any effect.
Just want to ask you, because I heard about this week, Kitch. Is it the proton beam or something that they're trialing right now, which says it can specifically target the cancer cells? I don't know. You heard of it?
I actually had not heard of that. I've been away at there's a water institute that opened up in my university, so they've been just busy with that, attending all the events and eating all the free food. But
I'll stick the link in the chat for you, Kutch, to check it out.
grand, yeah, no, that'd be really cool.
So I have no idea what it. I mean, have you heard of a proton beam, Marty? Maybe you could explain that.
Context, please.
It's
a beam of protons.
Yeah, I got that.
But they're using it. Well, it's being used to target cancer cells specifically.
Yeah, I don't know about that particular use. No, sorry.
But do you know of the principle of it?
I know of the principle of using radiation of various forms to destroy cells that you don't like.
Yeah,
but protons specifically, not that I recall hearing about. Sorry.
I say we all figure out how to shrink down Bruce Willis, and every time someone gets cancer, you send him in to literally fight cancer, or better yet, Russell Crowe fighting around the world. I couldn't find cancer, so I found someone with cancer.
But yeah, Soulfire, you're making a point there. Like, you're thinking the chemo is very bad, but it is the best we've got right now. And yeah, I'm sure anyone who's been through chemo, like if Empty Without Brain was here, he went through chemo, and he would probably give, he'd give anything to have not gone through chemo and got another treatment. But that was the best treatment available to him.
Yeah. Chemo can really suck. My mom has had chemo as well, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the effects of chemo on people, and there's this, oh god, but a lot of folk do get cured by it, but it is just a hell of a toll on the body in the short term.
Yeah,
because you're basically being poisoned on regular basis.
That's why everyone that tries to get rid of cancer, the simplest explanation of how they do it is they fuck up the cancer cells with either poison, chemotherapy, or radiation, radiotherapy, and then try to cut out what they can't kill off. That's essentially cancer treatment in a nutshell.
Yeah, usually
it's
surgery. Usually that's the first option that they go to, but sometimes that tumor could be located to a main blood vessel, an artery.
Or if it's malignant.
That too. So then the best response then is just to target cells that are rapidly dividing. Now, not all cells that are rapidly dividing are going to be cancer cells. So that's why you have these side effects, and even cells that are just dividing may be affected in some way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just kind of got distracted. Just trying to find out how this proton beam actually works.
It's a beam of protons. For fuck's sake, I can figure it out.
Hey, I'm a biologist. I'm not
because the interesting thing is proton radiation shouldn't be able to make its way through human skin. So it needs to be very intense to do anything, I think. But I'm not sure exactly what it said. Proton beam, not proton radiation. So it's a concentrated burst. But exactly what it's it targets near the surface.
I still think
someone says here,
we definitely need to figure out how to shrink down Russell Crowe.
Because protons are, on we might think a proton is tiny, but in terms of things that we consider radiation, a proton is huge.
And
it has an actual physical radius, unlike, say, gamma radiation, which is just point particles. You can't ask what is the radius of a photon. You ask what you talk about the wave function of it instead.
Actually, you said here that it's limited to tumors that are located near the skin. Or did I catch you right there in saying that? Because just looking through the paper,
someone said Jim the Evo in the chat is saying that it targets near the surface.
It seems like it has a similar kind of limitation that gold nanoparticles have at the moment, where they actually target tumor cells by binding chemicals to them that will bind to proteins that are overexpressed in cancer cells, which is great because you can select out the tumor. The only problem is, in order to get these nanoparticles to kill the cell, you either bind a anti-cancer drug, or you can target it by shining light at the right frequency to cause the gold nanoparticle to heat the cell and cause the cell to die. The only problem is that the wavelength of light needed can't penetrate far into the body. Now, current nanotech solutions are looking at trying to lower that wavelength by altering the size and shape of the nanoparticle, because that's going to affect the wavelength that's needed. Or look at other materials like I think magnetite is used, because I think that I'm not too sure about the exact wavelength needed for magnetite. Silver, I think there's issues with silver as well. But you really need like a low wavelength of light to cause that and to penetrate further.
All right. Yeah. Goodbye, Soulfire. Yeah. Well, the Soulfire, is a spirit science fan, but thank you. You came in here in good spirit, and we've enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah.
That's the people we want to speak to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
I'm
Nice
happy
people.
I've always said I'm happy to be on the other end of the spectrum to someone if they're amicable about it. Amicable.
Because you're not, so you compensate or what do you mean?
Hey, shut the fuck up, you Norwegian cunt. I'm trying
that's
to be
better.
nice for
That's
5
much better.
seconds.
That's the pumpkin we know and tolerate.
Yeah, I was getting worried there for a while.
Yeah. My God,
The thing is, I'm less likely to burn down someone's house if they're a decent person. Less likely, not impossible, but just less.
We've always said.
I just remembered there were more questions for me up there that I posted. The one about what brought me to flat earthers. There was also, will we see more of it? And the answer is yes. I'm editing it now, actually, but it's taking forever.
And also on that note, I think Zilla he is working on a flat Earth script, but he's been working on it for ages. He's been offline a lot. I think he is kind of taking a sabbatical right now, but he'll be popping in to do the show now and again. But he does say he has a flat Earth video in the works.
Is it going to be another Rory Cooper? Do you know?
He hasn't said, like I said, I'm hardly speaking to Zilla a lot of the time right now. And that's not in a bad way. He's just not around for me to speak to.
No, he's not around on Skype in our...
He appears on our Facebook group
constantly running chat. But but yeah, the thing that has been taking so long with this one, I actually announced in around Christmas that I was working on it, and it was going to be like the next thing I did, but the script has been terrible writing it. It just sucked, and it's gone through several rewrites, and now I'm at the point where I have something that I can actually start doing some animations and stuff like that for the editing, and that's well, I suck at that stuff, so it takes forever.
To be fair, most of your scripts are shit.
Thank you.
Someone is saying that, and it's a point that always comes up, and that is, why do flat Earth videos? They're so stupid. And, you know, it's we're always addressing this, and it's like with cool hard logic. You know, geocentrism. Why do that? But as some people have pointed out, cool hard logic, when he debunks them, there's a lot of good information there about mechanics. And I'll admit, like, some of my coursework this year in mechanics, I've actually watched a few of Cool Hard Logic's videos, which have explained some concepts in dynamic motion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about how you approach it. I mean, yeah, we can sit there and say, that's dumb, blah, ha, 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 you silly bastard. But again, it is about the approach and how you do it. I mean, there's value in every method, I think, but you can do it in an informative
Going
way.
after things like flat earthers and geocentrists provides an opportunity to teach real science in an entertaining way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And even if that was aside the point, there's a worryingly large amount of people who believe that shit.
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
Do you know what percentage of those people who believe it would be swayed by educational videos like Marty's or Cool Hard Logic's? Does anybody ever... Does a notable number of people come and say, yes, I've changed my mind about this?
I think... I don't know how this applies to flat earthers because they're conspirators, and I'm,
getting paid by NASA, obviously. I'm still waiting for the check, though. But I know that a lot of spirit science fanboys have, I mean, they've told me straight up, I believe that thanks for the cold shower.
Yeah.
I needed to hear that I was being an idiot.
Yeah, it's also a part of the whole. There was a I can't mind who said this, but someone said sometimes it's better to hear these things from an enemy because an enemy will just tell you the truth straight up.
Yeah,
they won't sugarcoat
exactly.
anything for you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like you said it last week. Just look at if you want to do these videos, think about just making it entertaining, informative for the people that agree with you, and if people jump on board with you, it's just a nice bonus.
Yeah, and that's the thinking I have in Flat Out Wrong. I said in part 1 that I'm not doing this to try to change the minds of people who will look at something and say that's not there.
Oh,
there's no point. So I'll focus on people who might actually be interested in learning why they are wrong rather than just hearing that they are wrong.
Yeah, and just out of interest, who here's been banned from the Flat Earth Society?
I haven't, but that's just because I haven't interacted with any of them.
I have. Ziller said he pretty much he's got distinction. He just logged in one day under his name and got banned on site.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, Ziller's got a reputation with the Flat Earth.
That's an accolade.
Yeah.
To be proud of.
That's something you could put on a channel header, just like, hey, check this shit out.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean Hufford's been banned as well. Anyone else?
I've been banned from some creationist sites, but that's about it.
I got banned by Nephilim Free once for going in his chat room and saying hello.
You know,
that's all I said.
Nephilim Free wanted me to debate him one time, and I said no, because I've seen the way he interacts with people.
Oh, we've actually interacted with him, Nathan.
Oh, have you?
It's what led, as Kitch will remember that night, that's what led...
I've talked to him before on Skype, but I haven't debated him like he wanted me to.
Yeah, that's...
Because I said no.
It was kind of the event that led to the kind of creation of this show, really, that night.
So basically what you're saying is this show is the bastard child of Nephilim Free?
The bastard child of Nephilim Free and Eye to Eye.
Yeah.
God, I never want to hear that sentence ever again.
Okay.
And any other
Can you give me
content.
the password to the YouTube so that I can change the description? Legends, the bastard child of Nephilim Free.
So that was, I remember that night for one reason. I was hungover because the night before I had finished my exams for the third year of my degree. So I went out. I mean, I just went out drinking with a couple of people from the course, and we're out for a good while. Like, I'm talking about proper Irish session good while. So the entire day, the next day, I was kind of like, oh, I have to debate this idiot at midnight. How am I going to last? And he showed up 5 hours late.
Yeah,
and I had to deal with Nephilim Free.
And it's like we said, not only was he 5 hours late, but we saw that he was logged into his channel. He was commenting on other videos, and people from the chat room were kind of sending him messages and comments saying, oh, the debate's meant to be going on, where are you? Then he turns up 5 hours later and says, oh, I didn't know this was going on, which was blatant.
Which is funny because when he made a big, huge deal about it when Don Exodus didn't show up to his little debate that he set up.
He tried to debate Don Exodus?
Yeah, and Don Exodus didn't show up, and Nephilim Free just rode that train all the way home and just made a huge deal about it and said, oh, look who wasn't brave enough to show up. And
yeah, and also the thing is, I think I had an inkling Eye to Eye didn't really know what he was doing because he let you choose the moderator and you chose the Maxman.
Oh, yeah, that's
and of course the Maxman was getting more and more drunk as the night got on. So.
I really want to do another one of those kind of nights because that, even though I was hungover and we did have to deal with Nephilim Free, that was probably one of the best nights I've ever had on this program, on this podcast.
I think the next best moments were, and they're all the Maxman moments, was when he first interviewed Coughlin. which was just
Oh yeah.
you have to look that up. Even if you hate Coughlin, that hour was just hilarious.
It was just fantastic, and the tech was glitchy as all hell, but it actually added to the experience.
What was the quote? This would be better connection if we were doing it in fucking Tapestry.
Yeah. The two of them, put the two of them together, and just let it'll happen naturally. The jokes just write themselves, really.
Yeah, it was. And
Who was that? Coughlin and Eye to Eye?
No, it was Coughlin and the Maxman. You'll meet the Maxman at some point. He always turns up for the charity shows because I think it's an excuse for him to spend 12 hours doing live streams, getting more and more drunk as a nights go on. But
I still fondly remember Trebuchets.
Yeah. And for all those, go and watch the hour we had with Logic. Well, it turned into 2 hours. Logic, and then it kind of morphed into the Armored Skeptic hour, and you listen to Logic at the start and then listen to him at the end, and it's just how fast he went downhill. He was drinking so much.
Oh no, the best part is
okay. I need to hijack this now because there's a discussion in the chat here about dark matter. Dark matter is a poor excuse for the fact that they can't accept the weight and volume of free and bound gases in space. Actually, the problem here is that we're talking about things that cannot be detected because it doesn't interact electromagnetically, but it has gravity. So it's not an excuse, it's a conclusion. What we don't know is what it is. There are different models, and
just to say,
it's not... dark matter is a working name.
It's not even... It's kind of a work in progress, the whole idea of dark matter.
It's simply the observation that there's more source... I'm going to phrase this clumsily here. There are more sources of gravity than can be seen.
Yeah, and Spandy Man, just to correct you, air is actually a mixture, it's not a compound.
True. The way dark matter is presented to the public would have them believe that dark matter is a magical element in space. Yes, I've seen that episode of Voyager. It sucked. Yeah, I understand what you mean. But it's nothing magical. It's just, we don't know what it is. The idea, what looks like the best explanation based on what is known so far, is that it's a completely different type of matter. It's not baryonic matter. It's not made of atoms, like protons and neutrons coming together, and it's something else, some completely different fundamental particle, probably. And it interacts very weakly with electromagnetic radiation, which would mean that it could pass through normal matter. It doesn't reflect light. It doesn't give off light. All it seems to do is have mass, and that means it affects other things. Sounds a lot like a gas. Well, yeah, it would be kind of like a gas, but it wouldn't be a chemical. You call it dark mass, and you'd have a descriptor for the phenomenon. Yeah, you could say that. It's just mass that can't be seen, but it's there. We can detect it because we can see the effects it has. Yeah. Because of its gravity. And there's a lot of work going on. They're actually trying to detect it, but because of its very nature, it's very difficult to detect.
And also, Jim the Evo, just as a side note, you can tell Miles from myself and Marty, we're going to have words with him about liking a night in sickbay. We're going to have to connect him on that shit someday.
Yeah, gravitational lensing is one of the ways we know about it, yeah. And there are other proposed explanations, but they are
I can't really take them seriously because they involve changing the law of gravity into something that makes false predictions just so we can explain that one thing.
It is the magnificent torso of God.
Say what?
I
Say what?
did not
That
catch
just
that at
sounds.
all.
I'm sorry, that just sounds like indigestion there.
And Slendy's been possessed by Satan.
He's been taken over by David Icke, it looks like, by his profile picture.
It sounds like a bullfrog is getting ass fucked by a train.
What? Oh. So many disturbing noises you're making with that voice changer, Slendy. There you go, and that's better now.
I think the reason that a lot of people are saying that the way dark matter is presented to the public is, you know, it looks like magic is because it's very poorly understood because it's not actually understood by scientists.
Right.
So people who are actually, you know, doing sci-fi and bullshit B-movies for the Sci-Fi Channel, they have free rein to do whatever the fuck they want to it.
Yeah.
And they
And
will
how often-
bastardize it.
And how often have we seen the scientists don't understand it, therefore magic?
Yeah, and also...
Yeah.
How many times?
And also,
And
when
whenever scientists are openly saying that, you know, this is something mysterious that we don't understand because, hey, that's a great soundbite, you know,
Yeah,
then that's all we hear about it. And it's...
Yeah, can I just
Yeah.
add to that? You've also got science communicators like Mikio Kaku, and he's very bad for making a lot of physics very woo.
Yeah.
He injects it
Oh,
in.
yeah.
In
And
fact-
that only happened in the last couple of years. He used
Yeah.
to be a pretty good communicator of science, but he's gone the sensationalist route.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
he was when he was one of the presenters on the Universe, he was really good. And for anyone else
Yeah.
who watched the Universe, I highly recommend that program.
Well,
I
do
think
tend-
he's trying to appeal to the woo crowd in what I think is a misguided attempt to turn them around, get them interested in real science. And I think all he's really doing is reinforcing their beliefs.
I still want to, for the charity show, to get Mikio Kaku and Phil Moriarty to do it, because we've heard Phil
Ooh.
Moriarty's thoughts on Mikio.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Pumpkin in a good mood. That's what he thinks of Mikio Kaku.
The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe interviewed Mikio Kaku on one of their episodes, and Kaku actually cut off the interview short when the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe folks were starting to ask him some critical questions.
Yeah. All right, I didn't hear that one. I haven't listened to them in a long time. I think I should pick up again with them.
Okay, with many minds on the call, let's touch on this. What are the chances that primordial states of matter broken down past its quarks and is a state yet not understood float in the universe being misunderstood as dark matter? That's pretty much what it is, probably.
Yeah, I can't comment on that.
I think the phrasing is a little off, but you're essentially spot on there. What I think it is. I don't want to say state of matter, but another kind of fundamental particle. So it's related to. I don't know. Should I say it's related to quarks? That's probably not the right way of putting it, but yeah, in a colloquial sense, I guess you could say that. You know, you have quarks, you have electrons, you have. Leptons, you have these different tiny little things that make up atoms and other things, and the dark matter particle or particles would be among them. We just haven't found them yet. That's what I think.
Yep. It's been a lot of physics the past half hour.
Yeah.
What the hell? Who was that now?
I'm not sure.
I posted a very important video.
All right. So, any other questions, chat room? You've been good tonight for us.
I think it's probably important to say it's not a good idea to ask me any science questions. I'm just the sweary one.
Yes.
Okay, I got some questions on the on my announcement video. I think I've answered most of them because they were about flat earthers. But one was how do you keep your cool when dealing with spirit science and conspiratards? I drink.
Yeah.
No. I try to disconnect really.
Yeah.
I don't want to take. I don't debate them, for example. Not in comment sections or anything like that. I just. No.
Because you don't want to.
It'll
Because you
just
don't want.
piss me off.
And it'll lend them the credibility they want that a mainstream science person is debating them, and that'll place their views on an equal level playing field that they don't deserve.
Yeah.
But to continue this question, the same guy also said, a close friend of mine has been blindsided by the sacred geometry nonsense. How do I approach him about it to help him understand? I'm trying to help, and how do I approach him about it to help him understand? I'm just trying to help and not just being a dick to him. I don't know if that's even possible. Sometimes you have to come off as a dick. Because there's really no other way to get through to him. But it depends on the person.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to say.
Give him a copy of Euclid's Elements and ask him if he sees any spirit stuff in there.
Like all that thing about approaches, you just, when you watch, like just say the Atheist Experience, for example, 1 week's Russell Glasser, the next week's Matt. And the week Russell is on, they're saying, oh, Matt would have cut him down, Matt would have got to him, blah, blah, blah. And then in a week, Matt's on, they're saying Matt was an asshole, Russell would have been much nicer, would have been a better conversation. So there's never one perfect way to do it.
No.
And anyone who, like I said, every method has its uses. Just find the one that works best for you and just stick to that. It's pointless trying to adjust. You're going to have one. There are some who can do it anyway, but most folk will just find one method that's good for them, and that's all they can do.
Just figure out which one fits best, and when you go into something, just play it by ear. If you go in saying, he will react this way, and then I will say this, you're setting yourself up for a spectacular fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
and when when we're talking about someone who's actually trying to change someone's mind, also, this isn't a case of trying to win a debate. Yeah. That's the hard bit. Because essentially you're setting yourself up for a situation where you are going to be forcing your views onto another person because you want him to agree with you. Now, you may be right, but that doesn't change the fact that that's what you're doing. And that could very well lead to a conflict. And then you have to ask yourself, is that what you want?
Yeah.
Basically, every time you're trying to change someone's opinion or change someone's mindset about something, you're raping them with your opinion. That's all I took away from what Morty said.
Yeah, but you're essentially right.
But yeah, it's the approach to everything in life. There's just certain methods that work for some things, and no matter what you do. All right, and like I say, we have 10 minutes left. If anyone does want to call, like I said, it's down there. You've been very reluctant to call in tonight, chat room. Don't know why.
It's because I haven't been here to entice them. Come on now, and we'll give you a good seeing to. We'll make you feel special and unique, and put you in the special helmet in the corner.
Yeah, not quite creepy enough, Pumpkin.
Hey, it's creepy enough for me.
Children, do you want to come down to the Thronin with Logic Vaughan Scape group? We'll treat you real nice.
Oh.
We'll get talking to you for a while, and then... Oh, Jesus, we'll validate you.
Okay,
I fear for my life now.
This is why you don't say... Anytime you tell me you didn't go far enough, I take that as a challenge to push it twice as far.
Man, we haven't had Peter or Phil for a long time on this. No, was it Father Peter or Phil, wasn't it?
Father Peter Phil. I'll fill your children up.
Okay, I think
Spirit
that's...
of the Lord.
Yes.
I'll make them bend over in appreciation for God. I'll fuck them in the arse.
All right.
Okay,
The
yeah.
Holy Spirit.
Okay, another question that has now been asked twice. How does Marty feel about Sweden's immigration board at the moment? And I'm just mentioning it so that I will make it clear that I have seen it. That's a question that has to do with politics. So no thanks.
Yeah.
It also
I'll
shouldn't.
pass on that one.
It shouldn't affect you. You're Norwegian.
What do you think about the latest evolution of creationism information technology? Basically, the claim you can't insert new information into the genome via mutation.
The idea that you can't, he said?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's not you.
Yeah. That's just an old... That's a rehashing of mutations don't create new information, which...
Yeah.
Well, one thing, I've been following creationism for quite a while. That's probably my favorite pseudoscience to study and go after. And I've noticed that the arguments haven't changed in years.
Just
the branding has changed to intelligent design, but the arguments are still essentially the same.
Yeah,
you still see the same things said that were said 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's just they change the jargon around a little bit and then say this is the new sophisticated argument for design. I mean, the simple fact is, I think even if a mutation causes a duplication error, that's something different. That's something new. I think it's just what they mean by new information. I think it's just...
There's an equivocation fallacy involved there. What is information?
Yeah.
Because they want to use information as defined in information theory to make their arguments, but that's not the information they're talking about.
So they want to use Claude Shannon's definition, but they really mean something else in the context of what they're talking about?
No, they want to use his... they want to use Shannon's idea of what information is, but they want to add that information requires intelligence.
Yeah.
Right.
They confuse. They want to use information theory as Shannon's information theory, or what he started, I should say. But they want information to, it can only come from a mind. Simply data is not information.
Yeah.
Information must mean something.
Yes.
And, that's an equivocation fallacy.
Yeah.
And it also seems as if a lot of them take literally the idea that DNA is a code, and they literally think it's a code that somebody would write.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you mean by a code. I mean,
in the colloquial sense, you could say it's a code, but
yeah.
I mean, the whole thing about getting new information, I always kind of draw the analogy with Morse code. That there's only two real things in Morse code, but you can generate so much out of that.
Yeah.
And so why can't, the genome do the same? I don't know, Kitch, what do you have to say to that?
It's you guys really covered it all. Really, but even unless just ignore all that fancy computer science and all that nice stuff, facts, because that's not going to sway a creationist. Though what I'm going to say isn't going to work either. But we've seen the evolution of new genes in the lab and in nature. So look at nylonase. That's an enzyme. Nylon's a recent invention in a recent product in the grand scale of life. When was it made? 100 years ago?
Yeah, about 100 years ago.
Yeah. So they found the bacteria that was growing in the wastewater of the nylon plant, that they have basically created this enzyme that breaks down the nylon.
Yeah.
Now, the creationist explanation will be, well, sure, it's always had the nylon A's there, even though we know exactly how it originated. Or the evolution explanation, which makes sense, is that the presence of nylon created an evolutionary niche which the bacteria happily filled.
Yeah.
And we know how this...
The creationist explanation for that was that God changed it as needed.
Well, he doesn't do that,
Yeah. But that's also that's actually an interesting... Do you know what, actually, this kind of on a side tangent, do you know the argument that everything, God, we're all God's perfect creation, but after the fall, all the bad things in our anatomy has come around because we've had, degraded. But a perfect design would not fall apart in such a manner.
Right.
A perfect design would be perfect and would not need any, would not,
A lot of them think the initial design was perfect, but then something magical caused by eating an apple suddenly introduced entropy into the world somehow.
But the apple was
Fucking
put
magic.
there by someone who knew exactly what would happen.
Yep.
I
the
always
apple of
find
knowledge. Is that
was
right?
it the if anyone hasn't seen the Dark Matter 2525 video about actually the Garden of Eden and the apple and how Jeffrey keeps trying to make it impossible to reach and the consequences of that. It's the whole fucking story is basically God just sort of like nudging them going, do it. Don't do it, but do it. Don't actually do it, but it's right there. But don't do it, but it's right fucking there.
It's interesting. Why an apple? Why, one of the most delicious fruits you can have? Why not like, I don't know,
Agus.
yeah, the haggis of knowledge, or the skunk of knowledge, or
The distended anus of knowledge.
Well, careful. Some very pedantic creationists will say, "Oh, it doesn't say it was an apple."
At which point I will
How
turn around
about
to you,
not putting it there in the first place, no matter what it was?
I have an idea. Instead of like saying it's a fruit or whatever it is, why don't they say that it was a hand grenade? Because if it was the hand grenade of knowledge, I'm pretty sure they would stay the fuck away from it.
but
but
if you even look, even if you
Or
look,
here's another idea: hire a security guard.
But isn't that basically the education system in Northern Ireland? You teach via the hand grenade of knowledge.
Well, no, the way it works is the teacher will sit at the front of the classroom drinking, and anytime you're not doing your work, he'll throw the bottle. And if you have a complaint, you have to go up and take a number for the complaint booth, which is the pin of a live grenade.
Okay, I think we have to have that as a meme for a show in the future, the hand grenade of knowledge.
Ah, yes, of course. How did we miss that? Consult the Book of Armaments.
Yes.
And Saint Attila rose his hand up high and said, "Bless this thy holy hand grenade," and so on and so on.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
That's
right,
the best.
we are coming up to the end here, so I think we shall wrap it up. So, Kutch, your final words and any announcements of things you're going to be doing?
Well, it's been a very entertaining show, and we got through some really cool things, and I actually have some stuff to read actually after this. But I am actually working on the blog again. Hopefully, the next one will be out by the end of the week, depending on other matters as well, because I've actually have a few papers to submit, and I have a job interview next week, so have to prepare for that as well. So, but the blog is one of my priorities as well.
Yeah, and the blog is trollingwithlogic.com/bioinspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the link will be at the bottom of the video when this is uploaded. And Pumpkin, what do you have to say?
Fucking shit, tits and ballsack. I probably mean to actually do videos or blogs or some fucking thing, but I'll end up forgetting anyway.
All right, that's good. Marty, what do you have? Any announcements or?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get Flat Out Wrong 3 up this week. I hope. I can't promise, but I'm gonna try. I promise I'll try.
Okay, and Nathan, you're the newbie, so you get a lot to promote here.
All right. Well, I've got a blog on WordPress as well as on the Trolling with the Logic site. It's Skeptical Inquests, and been on hiatus from that for the past couple months, but I'm back writing regularly. And I've got a new post actually will probably be up tonight.
All right. Nice. And just in general, just to let everyone know, Sheila will be back very, very soon. We're currently working on setting her blog up. It's not named yet. We're trying to figure out a name, but Sheila will be back co-presenting soon, which we're all very much looking forward. As we said, it's kind of good just to have a woman on the show, so it's not a total sausage fest up here.
You're here.
And I don't know, any other?
I still think my idea about getting the hookers is not a bad idea.
And just my own announcement, I have a channel ready and I'm writing scripts for the first few videos on it. The Uncivilized Engineer, it's called, and I'm going to be looking at science and tech in the movies and other kind of media, and just any kind of general debunking related to science, to engineering that comes along. So yeah, that should be end of February, middle of March. I hope to have. I want to get like a good 4 or 5 videos recorded to upload to start it off. And I don't think there's any other announcements have I missed, guys? No.
Not that I know of.
And just, yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks. I think it'll be with our guests that were scheduled for today, because we were looking forward to that. It's going to be talking about the role of nuclear power and the role it has in tackling climate change and meeting our energy needs, which is... That's another interesting...
I read that book, so I'm looking forward to that interview.
Well, is it a good book? I've just started reading it. Nathan.
He's got some interesting points.
Yeah, so it's called The Climate Gamble. You'll find it on Amazon. Like I said, they were supposed to be here tonight, but they couldn't make it in the end. But they were rearranging, and we'll hopefully have something set up. We've got John Sweeney will be along. I'm just trying to finalise the date with him. So, because I know everyone has been really waiting for us to have John on, and we've all been really looking forward to doing it. But that is happening. John Sweeney will be on here at some point. And I can't recall, Kitch, do you have any guests lined up? Or?
Well, not. I have no guests really to announce, but I am working on some guests that we have said that we will do last year. So I don't announce anything just yet because I don't want to put words in people's mouths. But if it's all going to plan, well, it should be an absolutely fantastic show for you guys, not for us.
Yes.
Yeah, Kitch is trying to get the Pope.
The Space Pope.
Yeah.
The Space Pope.
What else? I was trying to think there is, and just to let everyone know, yes, there should be a charity show this year. I mean, last year just the schedules didn't work out. I was moving house and all that stuff. The summer was just far too busy. We didn't have time to get anything organised. But hopefully this year it will go ahead, and July the 2nd looks like it'll be the date for that. So it'll be another 24 hours of drinking and raising money for a very good cause indeed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shenanigans and debauchery. Oh,
Yes.
marvellous.
And the last thing is, we are working on organising some commentaries of some documentaries. So, and
some other shitty movies.
Yeah, some shitty movies. So, you can send us in suggestions if there's any films you'd like us to do a commentary or review of. We'll happily do that for you. Well, not happily, we'll grudgingly do it for you.
Happily in the masochistic sort of way.
Yeah, I think, Kitch, we are trying to get a hold of Miles and the crew for doing the House of Numbers commentary at some point, which would be interesting. Well, I'm not going to say fun, but it'll be interesting. So.
Yeah. I actually have to sit down and watch that movie actually to prepare.
I never watch the movies that we do ponages or commentaries of, because it's just better to do it when you got folk to kind of...
when you do the commentaries, that's the first time you're watching it?
Yeah,
it's more fun that way.
The live ponages, and this is one thing that always comes up from the intelligent design guys when they watch our live ponages. They just said this wasn't well researched. you
No,
guys,
of course not.
and he just said you guys are, and they say you guys are reacting. And I said that's the point. It's just meant to be entertainment. So,
Well, it sounds like I'm too over prepared for a matter of faith commentary since I'm actually writing a review of that.
yeah, we've got that. We've definitely got Cool Hard Logic on board for the principal when I can get a copy of it that I don't have to pay for. So
Nice.
Because, like I said, it's not even been torrented, that film. That's how kind of notorious it's become. But yeah, Cool Hard Logic has agreed to come onto the crew for that, and
He will regret doing that.
yes, he will. I can't think of any other things we've got planned in the future. No, we will get a live ponage some night because they're a lot of fun to do, and I think everyone enjoys watching them.
I think at one stage we need to have like another random drunk night where just shit happens in a terrible fashion.
Yep, like the old days of blog TV, just people getting drunk and streaming into the night.
Yeah, I vaguely remember trying to read My Immortal while drinking my way through a bottle of Captain
Yes,
Morgan.
we remember that as well.
Do we ever actually follow through on during the charity of getting Pumpkin to read My Immortal?
No, but we got Spod to Bits to read the Lolcats Bible,
Yeah,
which was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
that was fun.
Anyway, I think we shall wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for coming along, and we'll be back very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
See you guys.
Bye.
After all that we've been
Failed the
When
Jordan
Jordan
exam.
Jordan says it.
Big red kind of cross through the whole paper with Space Jews written at the end of it.
Yeah.
On a
You wouldn't
piano.
make it through one semester at the School of Jordan.
Ah, yeah, Soulfire, you're asking about the damper thing. Well, that's on a piano. Yeah, you've got that right. But Jordan specifically said hydraulic dampening. And hydraulic dampening is what you've got. We all, like if you're driving a car or anything, it is designed to reduce vibration.
Yeah.
If it's increasing the vibration, then it's underdamped and it's not doing its job properly. So I hope Soulfire that kind of clears that up.
Yeah, there's in many cases in music they have special meanings for words that have other meanings in physics. I'm not sure about exactly what those pedals do.
Yes, Soulfire. I am indeed Scottish, and just to clear, if you're going to ask what I'm doing a degree in mechanical engineering right now, so that's how I know that. Because I know everyone is always asking like what our backgrounds are and how we're qualified to speak on any of this stuff. So, like I said, I do try and stick to my own field as much as possible, and if not, I pass it on to someone else. No, micro underdamped. It's a perfectly decent term. Like I said, we use it in engineering all the time. It's just saying you're not damped it enough. That basically your system, it's taking too long. It's like best thing to think of is like you've got your oven at home. You switch it on, and it takes a while to settle down. It'll click on and off the thermostat. That's basically dampening it because the temperature just shoots up and then it'll kind of, oh, you've gone too high, reduces, and then it brings it down like that. That's essentially what dampening is. And basically something that's underdamped is something that just keeps on oscillating forever. But if it's properly damped, it'll just settle down within a decent amount of time.
Okay, so qualifications here.
Yeah.
My qualifications are being asked for. I have a master's in science education.
Yep.
So I'm a teacher. And in Sweden, that actually means something because you can't just become a teacher by taking some courses in pedagogy and then they expect you to be able to teach. You actually have to study the subjects you're teaching as well. At the university level.
Yeah, and Nathan, well, seeing as we're going into backgrounds, Nathan, what's yours?
I have probably the most unimpressive qualifications of anyone here. I'm trained in journalism, which I studied here in Oregon, USA. And I also did a minor in philosophy, specifically emphasizing in philosophy.
Oh yeah, it says that scientists that come out and say that GMOs are bad are criticized because that's the worst thing that can ever happen to you as a scientist. You're criticized, because that doesn't happen during every peer review application, peer reviewed submission. Yeah.
You'll get
peer review submission.
Welcome to Trolling Logic for the 31st of January 2016. Big apologies first, as you probably did see, we were scheduled to have the authors of the book The Climate Gamble on to have a discussion about nuclear power. Unfortunately, they can't make it, but I have heard from them and they will be back on at a future date. So you're going to have to make do with us as your special guests for tonight. So I'll quickly introduce the panel. Kitch, what's happening?
Not too grand, not too bad. It's doing good.
Yeah, you look hungover as hell right now, it has to be said.
It's a good Saturday. This is why we do shows on Saturday.
So he looks Irish.
Yes,
basically.
he does.
I'm more Irish.
Yes, you look more Irish than usual. Right, Marty, what's happening with you?
Not much.
And welcoming to the show for the first time ever, Nathan, what's happening?
Not much. Good to be here. Been a long time listener to the show. Never thought I'd actually be on it, so good to be here.
Yeah, everyone says that. They listen to the show and then I suddenly say, come on the show and help us out sometime. And they're all, what? So that's basically how it went with Sheila. So you'll get used to it eventually. And I'm not too sure. How do you want to be addressed, Mister Mystery Man? Yeah, we've got a demented cow with us tonight to make up the last guest.
Something that came up since our last show was, of course, the supposed discovery of a new planet.
Oh, yeah.
And holy shit, popular media needs to, stop being like popular media, basically.
Yeah. Because as the Nibiru stuff started straight away with us, didn't it?
Yeah, right away. Apparently, not only has the planet been found, which absolutely no one has said, it's also going to collide with the Earth within a year, despite the fact that it never comes closer to the sun than, I think it was like 150 AUs or something. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's farther out than Pluto, isn't it?
Nibiru is 4 years ago.
Yeah. This thing is like it puts everything on our understanding of the scale of the solar system has to change, basically.
Yeah,
it's just way out there.
And also,
right.
How can you tell the difference between something that's been introduced using genetic modification and something that's probably been bred in?
Yeah.
And what was the other processed?
What is it? It doesn't like anything that's refined, manufactured, processed, or GMO'd.
So anything that maybe has citric acid in it, which is, the orange juice, that citric acid is in orange juice. And that's also used in God. It's also it's a food additive.
Look, Kitch, seriously. Of course, you can't put acid in people. I mean, that's just chemicals that are added by big chemical.
Completely. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's not like you have an organ that's just completely filled with acid.
Yeah, and then he carries on to say, I love yoga and I do it, and I always feel transformed. And it's amazing that not only your genes are listening to your thoughts, but your microbiome and the bacteria are listening to your thoughts.
So, well, maybe, most people...
Can't he just call them midichlorians?
Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
That's what he means.
I don't know how he operates, but generally my mind does not actually, is in association with my ass. But maybe it explains so much now.
Yep.
He's literally thinking and talking out of his ass.
Yeah.
And he's doing a classic thing that all pseudoscientists do. He's using very scientific sounding language to wow his audience. Yeah. And it sounds like his audience is thinking, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about, because those words have a lot of syllables in them.
Yeah.
And yes, the guy in the chat, I think Kitch is pretty much qualified to have opinions about this shit, at least according to his PhD and all that shit.
It begins.
Yeah.
I don't know any other follow-ups to that apart from that was really dumb.
Yep, no, that was really dumb.
Yeah.
He gives absolutely no mechanism for how even that will remotely work. And how can genes listen to thoughts? That's like saying water can listen to my emotions.
Yeah. Isn't that what the Japanese guy on What the Bleep said?
Yeah. Then I don't think you need a PhD to know that stupid. But, yeah.
But yeah, here's another news story that's on my desk. There's actually been a Kickstarter started for Shield headwear. Now, this headwear is designed to protect you from the harmful effects of cell phones, Wi-Fi signals, and other electronic standing of just Newtonian mechanics. Hello, Zilla. We'll have to change as well. Because not only that, Nibiru actually came here in 2012, missed, and it's gone back out there and it's coming back again.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, if someone out there can do the calculations of acceleration needed for this acceleration, deceleration, changes of direction, This is
Yeah,
some
I can
phenomenal.
do it. Not off the top of my head, but I can do it.
It's kind of Ziller style mechanics, that I think, isn't it? I think we'll keep insulting him because he's not here.
It would probably look almost as wacky as Cool Hard Logic's illustration or animation of the wacky geocentric model.
Oh yeah. But anyway, like I say, folks, just send us a PM if you do want to call in. I'll keep shouting that out. We don't have anyone.
Some people are asking questions like it's further out than Pluto. I want to see just how much further out it is. It's definitely way further out than Pluto, like 10 times or something.
Yeah. But well, I do have something here. And I know the reaction this is going to get when I say the first few words of what the story relates to. Deepak Chopra.
Oh God, Ziller says Facebook, didn't he?
Word salad.
Yes.
I'm hungry.
So Deepak Chopra has now got himself in on weight loss. He's now a dietitian as well. And he's gotten involved in something close to your heart, bacteria, Kutch.
The microbiome, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, here's a few quotes from him. We are a few human cells hanging onto a bacterial colony. We are the awakening of bacterial consciousness. Yeah, that's got a reaction.
So he can communicate with his bacteria.
Hold on. If we're going to do this anymore.
Yep.
Is he saying bacteria can listen to our thoughts?
Oh,
and respond?
Yep.
I'm getting to that soon. I'm just going through some of the key quotes here. This is.
But just to go on that, actually, he said, from what I got there, bacterial cells surround a human cell in the gut. Is that the gist of what I got there?
Yes, it is. A few human cells hanging onto a bacterial colony.
From what I understand of the microbiome, because I had an interview with something similar a while back on microbiome research, so I'm kind of going based off of a few months ago. But yeah, bacterial cells will degrade shed cells from the intestine. That's normal.
Yep. So the next thing says, it doesn't like anything that's refined, manufactured, processed, or GMO'd because GMO interferes with its ecology. It is the life of the earth. When it gets inflamed, it sends out metabolites that cause the disruption of the activity, both the epigenome and of the gene directly.
How? Does it do it through the force?
I understood that was stupid.
Yeah, and also
how can they?
And you don't even do squishy things.
devices. What was that?
Oh,
So basically, someone managed to get a Kickstarter going for tinfoil hats. And how much do you reckon they've raised so far?
How much have they donated themselves?
I don't know, but they've actually raised 313 backers have raised $20,000 for this project.
Wow.
Well, in related news, there's a GoFundMe for a flat Earth convention.
Oh yeah.
It's been going for weeks now, and they've raised a grand total of jackpoint shit.
And also, speaking on the flat earthers, who's been watching the rap battle with Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah, I loved it.
That is fantastic.
It's the greatest compliment when a flat earther performs a diss track on you for being a spheroid person, a non-flat earther.
Yeah, because that's
Smart person.
basically
Yeah, smart
Yeah.
person.
after the Cool Hard Logic show, we did get some.
Well, okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We can't say smart person as opposed to flat earther because then we just have to realize that we just called Kent Hovind smart.
Okay, sorry.
Oh no.
Somewhat functioning person.
Again, you just called Kent Hovind a functioning person.
Well,
We
he's
need
damaged
we
another.
need a new word here.
I think flat earther is pretty good insult.
Yeah.
It's so cognitively discomforting to watch Kent Hovind disagree with flat earthers. And
You have to. Flat earthers have made us agree somewhat with Kent Hovind.
Yes, that's you're about it.
Soulfire. No, Jordan is not a flat earther.
We said a lot of things, but
I mean, I don't think it'd be a massive shock if he did become a flat earther.
No, but he isn't one at this point anyway.
Wasn't one of his latest videos him talking about the Earth, and the Earth is I'm sorry, not the Earth, sorry, the Moon. Completely different thing altogether. The Moon is a hologram or
Oh, it's hollow.
hollow, and yet vibrations are strengthened and lengthened by dampening.
Yes.
So the dampeners in his scenario do the opposite of what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's very, I don't know what word you will use to describe it, but when that video came out, as Martin knew, I was working on some coursework for college, which was doing simulations on my computer of dampening systems. And it was just bizarre to, like, while I was trying to get showing the effects of what dampening actually does, Jordan goes out public and says it does the exact opposite of what I'm showing here. It does do. It's just,
And you must have failed your exam then.